Bangz is back, and this time he came fully prepared to review the shark game.
Bangz, we're not reviewing a shark game.
What? Why wasn't I told?
Bangz, actually in this video we're going to give the viewers our thoughts on the world's first playable sitcom, 3 out of 10 season 1. So let's get into it.
Timothy, no! No one is going to choke anyone.
It's how you get in the mood for a match.
I am victorious!
Just a quick note before we start, all episodes of 3 out of 10 season 1 are currently free on the Epic Games Store. You should give it a spin because the game is incredibly well made and funny. Honestly, we're kind of amazed they're giving it away for free. Anyways, onto the review. 3 out of 10 is an episodic playable sitcom. Seriously, all it's missing is a laugh track.
And Javier exploded too. Don't forget about Javier.
Being a video game, however, you get to take on the role of the characters. In this unique adventure game, you get to join a dainty little video game development company called Shovelworks Studios on their journey to complete their latest project. You'll meet a quirky cast of characters which include Jeb, the do-nothing CEO, Joan, the mom-like designer, Kevin, the casual lead designer, Ben, the laid-back artist, whatever the hell Pylon is, Viper, the overly aggressive lead character artist, and Francine, the cold-shouldered HR administrator. Oh, and an unhelpful robot office assistant called Timothy.
No, I can't do that.
They're a pleasant bunch, just not very good at anything really. You're introduced to work life at the studio through Midge, the new animator and audience character. As Midge, you're suddenly thrust into over-exaggerated antics and adventures that ensue within the studio. 3 out of 10 makes a lot of sarcastic commentary on the video game industry as well as the culture surrounding the industry. I often found myself chuckling at the humor in this game as the writing and jokes are super witty, but the humor may not be for everyone. You've got to be a little clued in on the subject matter, and some of the jokes are pretty meta. Regardless, I still laughed and snorted a little louder than usual at most of the jokes. The world in 3 out of 10 is colorful and wacky, mirroring the characters that live in it. Characters which are full of personality. The game story is a roller coaster ride, from fighting with mob fanatics to discovering corporate scandals and much more. The narrative took some interesting turns which I wasn't expecting and always kept me intrigued and wanting more. The season finale is a little abrupt though, but I was still pleasantly surprised by the execution of the story, so I'm definitely looking forward to season 2.
When you boot up episodes in 3 out of 10, you're greeted with flashy title cards, brimming with intrigue. These made me think of the alluring episode title cards you'd often find in cartoons like Adventure Time. I like these because they do a good job of sparking the player's curiosity, often depicting a dramatic scenario or conveying an ominous tone. Also, you'll notice they're presented in a completely different art style than the rest of the game, just like the cartoon title cards I showed earlier. Nice touch. The artists over at Terrible Posture Games have designed some of the quirkiest comical game characters I've seen all year. Designing a cast of, well, office employees and whatever the hell Pylon is, with a ton of personality is quite an accomplishment. The 2D characters are super stylized, sporting over-exaggerated limbs and features, vibrant color palettes, and whatever the hell Pylon is. There's a lot of humor in the artwork that also extends to the animations, which are charged with tons of goofy charm. I really like how references to classic video games and video game culture are worked into the artwork and animations. So many scenes in the season reminded me of classic point-and-click games. Look at the colors in Jeb's office and Jeb himself, looking like they walked straight off the set of a Leisure Suit Larry game. Also, Dick Daring, is that you? Looking at a still frame of the game, it'd be fair to assume the graphics are comprised entirely of 2D art, like point-and-click games of old. Not quite. While the characters in 3 out of 10 are 2D, the backgrounds and props are all 3D. This mashup of styles surprisingly works quite well, and the artist did a stellar job of blending them together by adding thick line work to 3D objects to mimic the hand-drawn look of the characters. So you get that classic hand-drawn look on the characters while reaping the benefits of 3D environments. There are some super cool material effects found on props like the reflections and shininess on Jeb's desk, which could have been trickier to pull off with 2D art. The 2D characters moving within 3D spaces creates this neat parallax effect. There's a lot of visual candy here.
Okay, so 3 out of 10 is a playable sitcom. So what about the playable part? Turns out you don't have to play the game if you don't want to. You can choose to just watch and skip the gameplay segments entirely. But obviously I played them. It's kinda what I do. It seems like the developers really wanted to push the whole sitcom aspect, but the gameplay is actually better than I expected. I enjoyed most of it. The actual gameplay comprises of a variety of mini-games woven into the story, which you navigate like a point-and-click adventure game. You control a variety of the cast as you partake in mini-games as wacky as the story itself. These are pretty easy for the most part, but maybe you're trying to rank against the game's developers on this leaderboard shown at the end of each episode. But again, there's no real penalty for failing or skipping the minigames. Replay value is low, but that's okay, because the story is the star of the show. Playable sitcom, remember? As 3 out of 10 is a video game about the troubles of making a video game, you can play an early development build of the Shovelworks game. It's cool to see how the game changes after the events of each episode. A neat little gameception, if you will.
As a bunch of guys who are genuinely interested in the games industry and being artists and animators ourselves, we had a lot of fun with 3 out of 10's satirical commentary on the games industry. Not to mention all the graphical candy and welcome throwbacks to old school adventure games.
We get that the humor is not going to be for everyone, but the narrative is really good and definitely takes some unexpected turns. It surprised us.
And you'll certainly get your fair share of chuckles out of the wacky gameplay.
It's clear the developers put a lot of care into this game, and shaking up a traditional format is a huge plus. 3 out of 10 Season 1 is well made and funny, and we think it's a 4-star gold game.
Also, it's amazing that they're practically giving it away for the reasonable price of $3.99.
Hey, thanks for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do the YouTube things to get notified when I drop more content. See you later.